Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Mark Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Mark helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Mark draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth podcast. This is your co-host, John Williams. And artificial intelligence is changing nearly every industry, but beyond productivity gains and automation, it's also beginning to influence how private companies are valued. Today, we're joined by Ted Wolfe, CEO and founder of Guidewise.ai. Ted has built and led organizations from startups to hundreds of employees, and now helps businesses successfully implement AI by focusing not just on the technology, but on the people and the processes that determine whether AI initiatives actually succeed. To add to this, Ted is also helps businesses understand selling, and when they get to that point when they want to sell their business, and helping them prepare for that big transfer of wealth, as well as an author of a book he recently launched titled The Intelligent Business Equation. In today's episode, we'll discuss how AI adoption is impacting private company valuations, why some businesses are becoming significantly more valuable while others risk falling behind, and what business owners should be doing today to prepare for the future. Ted, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, John. Looking forward to our conversation.
I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because, as many of our listeners know, everywhere you look, AI is a topic of conversation. It seems to be making us rethink how we look at our lives from everything. Business valuations obviously being one, from just like how we interact with others, and how we're trying to see more specifically to today's topic, how these, we often think about AI and the value of these companies that are providing these services, but really the big value driver is going to be how companies can then take that AI and add value to their own company. So I'm really excited to hear your take on that. I just wanted to share that Bautis Financial, BAUTIS, is a wealth management and financial planning business that is accepting new clients. If you want to learn a little bit more about how we can help you take the stress out of managing your money, feel free to set up a free call at bautisfinancial.com/call. With that, Ted, I'd like to start off with a little bit of a background about yourself, and more specifically, how did you go from scaling businesses to being the founder of Guidewise.ai?
Okay, thanks, John. When I got out of college, I worked for IBM Corporation, and that's when mid-sized companies did not have computers in those days. So that was a big change in the technology inflection point, if you will, and that a lot of people that just ran manual types of businesses, or what I'll call today analog businesses, they were introduced to this new technology, and everybody was afraid, are we going to lose our job? Oh my gee, what are we going to do? We got this technology. I got these new things I have to learn. We're never going to be able to do it. But we did, and nobody lost their job. I also found out then in 1999, when the web was becoming very popular, and we had the web meltdown in 1999 and 2000, everybody again thought, oh my God, this is going to crash. It's going to crater. The web's not going to work. But then there were those people that looked at it and said, we need to use this to help develop new communities around our business. Became extremely successful because they stuck with it. They didn't fall for the quick hit and quick return. And what we're finding right now with AI is this is the next big technology inflection point. And this is way, way bigger than anything that we've seen. So when I was working with IBM, we knew technology was going to be very forceful and wouldn't bet against it. My brother and I worked there. We started a business, total of $1,000, the two of us, knocked on a lot of doors. We knew the trends that were coming from our own standpoint, and we ended up building a business that was technology consulting and staffing augmentation. And we ended up having 650 billable people across the United States in 13 offices. And then that was acquired by $1 billion company. Learned an awful lot of lessons from it. So when I would say the one lesson that I did learn, the biggest one, is I did not prepare our business for an exit early enough. I waited until we said, like everybody else, we're looking to sell our business and we have got a great business, great cash flow, profits. Of course, someone's going to want to buy us. But I didn't realize that only 30% of businesses that want to be acquired ever get acquired. So the learning that I had from all of that and how I got into technology was that technology is your friend. It's not your enemy. If you use it properly and you learn and you appropriately implement it in a proper way, but it will dramatically increase the productivity of your business. And that means you've got to be able to be really people focused, because I personally do not believe a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, maybe coding jobs and things like that for right now. But it's going to be a huge positive input and impact in helping people become much more competent and confident in their job.
Yeah. Just so our listeners have a little bit more groundwork, could you explain to me Guidewise.ai, and do you have several different businesses? Like, are you, obviously it seems like you're helping businesses understand AI and what that means for them. It also sounds like you're integral in helping businesses set up their businesses so they're set up appropriately for sale. Are they the same business, or are they sometimes the same thing?
Actually, they're the same thing, and that's a great question, John. Great question. I noticed that as a company needs to prepare itself for an exit, it has to ask, why do I want to make the exit? And the answer generally is going to be the owner has all their money locked up in the company. So they got to get that money out of the company. And the only way they can do that right now is through an exit. I'm sitting back and saying, well, right now, AI and preparing your business for an exit, those journeys, if you will, have now joined into one direction, one journey. You can't sell your business if you're not going to have good AI structure and implementation. And if you do it wrong, you're not going to be able to sell your business simply because it's not structured properly. So it doesn't have that transferable aspect that buyers are looking for. So that was the reason for writing the book. But we have one business that goes in and we help them structure through the book 5 closes that will prepare them for the sale, because it will make them transferable. But it also incorporates, how do I actually implement AI in a practical manner that benefits the business, gives me transferability, but then creates what I call optionality. I got the financial leverage of whenever I need it so that the business can survive and I can take advantage of opportunities in the business. So Guidewise prepares businesses for a sale, improves the operating aspect, but it brings in that whole new technology of AI that is going to be needed to exit the business, acquire another business if that's what you want to do. But it is one path leading to that one outcome now, and that's change. And that's what Guidewise does. Short version, we help companies finish what they start. Most companies can't do that.
Yeah, there's so many successful businesses that just aren't sellable businesses for a number of different reasons, and it's not just like, oh, I want to sell next year. Sometimes these changes are long, drawn out potential changes with regards to how much the change may be, and it's going to take some time to look at those changes and make sure you're implementing with enough time before you sell, right? So when you talk to a company, like, when is the timeline? Like, what does that look like for a company that somebody might be sitting here listening? Obviously I'm sure that the idea that it's never too early to start to look at this, but what is like a sweet spot for somebody with regards to when they want to sell the business?
I think you should be starting to look and evaluate and prepare yourself at least 3 years in advance of what you want to do. And the reason why I say that, John, is because, number one, you got to get your EBITDA in place. You've got to get your financials in place, and you have to show, you have to demonstrate results of the accounting system. It's not people driven. It is more systems driven, which means I got reliable incoming data, incoming contracts, and revenue. So I've got all the things in place that I need to in order to do that. But you need to show a year, 2 years worth of demonstrated financial results. And then you also have to be able to judge, do I make more CapEx or improvements and spend the money that way, or do I keep that in profits so I can increase my multiple and my EBITDA for the valuation of the business? So I would suggest you need to look at least 3 years in advance, because you're not going to implement AI in 6 months. and then show big returns on it and make an acquirer feel very confident. They want to come in today. It's a very quick quality of earnings exercise. You build up your data room in effect. You go in, you start examining everything. It doesn't take 6, 8, 12 months to get all this stuff done like it does in the past. So you've got to be able to show demonstrated results using AI, how it's impacting the business, and you have the right systems and structures in place that make the business transferable to a new acquirer.
Yeah, and it's all happening fast too. So especially just back to AI and the specifics there. Many remember what it felt like to be around during the dot-com bubble, and obviously it was a bubble because at the time we didn't realize it was happening. Before things just got out of hand and the proverbial bubble burst. And that fear of something like that happening with regards to AI, it definitely feels the same way. I know there's fundamental differences, but and there's this pressure, and there's even a part of me, as a money manager, and as we analyze this, it feels like sometimes that there feels a little bit like the cart is before the horse. Like, oh, we have this great technology, and they're kind of forcing it down some people's throats and saying, you're going to get behind. Like you have to implement this. So there's this very real pressure. I'm even seeing it in interviews with CEOs from larger, large cap companies, with this pressure to do something with AI, in quotes. Are most businesses, in your opinion, approaching this the right way? And if not, like, is there a way that you recommend, or just like some just high level principles that business owners should be considering when they're trying to implement AI into their business?
Yeah, John, your instincts are correct. People do have the cart before the horse. Is there pressure to implement AI now? Absolutely. If you don't start implementing AI now, you will be left behind, because we are living in a very unique time in business history. This is the first time that small companies are going to tremendous leapfrog over their competition who are slow at implementing AI. Now, implementing AI doesn't mean I go out and I have it writing better emails for me, or I have it create a PowerPoint presentation quicker. That's not bottom line impact. That's not what somebody wants to buy. And in my definition, that might be just the very, very tip of AI. That's not really implementing AI. So are people implementing it the correct way? I would say the mass majority of what I have seen in prospects and in other organizations and talking to people, no, they're not implementing it the right way. They're letting people go out. They're putting in these single use case, like I'm going to say a chat or a Claude, that are not enterprise driven. So they speak to the owner or the person that's using it. And what they're trying to do is just, okay, how do I increase my productivity as a silo within the business? We all know silos in businesses do not create innovation. They do not create forward momentum and increased productivity. You've got to get multi-disciplined, multifunctional teams, cross-functional teams working together in collaboration. AI will force that to happen, and AI will actually get rid of your silos of secret data and tribal knowledge that everybody has, because it can't process it. So if you try doing it in a single individual's use case, it's not going to work. So look at it in 3 layers. Number one, you got to have your workflows documented and in place. And that does not mean spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets. Second layer you got to come in and do is get your data formatted and the quality and consistency of data in place in a way that AI can actually read the data on a consistent basis without errors or without guessing. Third level, you got to start putting in your agents, and that's where you've got to go to the enterprise orchestrate manner. You have to orchestrate an agentic workforce in effect. You're going to have agents coming in, and they're going to do tasks that people could do. But you're also going to eventually develop them and orchestrate them so that they're doing more than only reading files by themselves. They're actually making suggestions to you. They're actually making decisions if you program them or if you construct them in that manner. So you've got, just like employees, management levels, et cetera, you're going to have the same thing within these agents, and you have to orchestrate them just like a conductor orchestrates his orchestra of music. So there's a lot that goes to it, and it's not take a single look, a single department, see what it can do. You've got to be able to have use cases that hit the bottom line. And that means, number one, they're grounded in business objectives. Number two, you're using the right technologies, enterprise technologies that cover your entire business, not just one functional area or one user. And then the third thing you have to do is you got to make sure your people are going to use the technology, which means you have to train them. You have to teach them how to process change, why it's important, how they're going to benefit from it. And then you got to get them to actually use the technology to begin doing the job. If you're implementing in an organization today an ERP system, you have about a 30% chance of being successful. That's not real good. And that stands for the last 30 years in any change management situation within a business. So are a lot of people doing it wrong? Yes, I think they are. It's simple how to correct that. This isn't going away, though. This is going to be just like 1999 that you said. A lot of people are trying to get in on it. They're doing it in the wrong way. They're going to fail. But those people that think it through and they find those guides to help guide them through that process. And by the way, that's one reason why we called our business Guidewise. And you've got to be able to do it in a methodical, organized manner because it will make your business much, much more intelligent.
Sure. I guess as I hear you talking about this, just some of the things, just as a risk manager from a portfolio perspective and just risk management in perspective, this just seems to be very risky, and especially for mid-sized businesses, because what you're essentially saying is there's an investment with just finding out how this could be a part of your business, and then you're making that risk without even really, because it's unprecedented from every angle, pretty much. You don't really know how that's going to affect your bottom line, and so you're making this good faith commitment to AI very early on to spend money to find out how it's going to be part of your business. And then you might say, all right, let's do this. And then you implement it and you might find out that you spent more money than you're going to make back in with what you find with regards to how is it affecting your bottom line. So how are people, I guess I'm kind of getting off the track here, but I think you understand what I'm saying is from the sense of like, there's a lot, like, how are people supposed to understand, okay, well, especially as a mid-sized company, it's one thing for an S&P 500 company to go in and spend some money and maybe just, write that off. But for a mid-sized business, they're sitting at the table trying to decide how they're going to spend their money. How do they make sense of it?
Well, I think a couple of things that you said were very accurate in that a lot of people are taking a very risky or a risk-induced approach to AI. That will hurt. That will hurt them, the business, their workforce. If you do AI properly, you're actually reducing the risk to your business. Number one, if you're not using AI properly, one of your competitors is going to, and they're going to leave you in the dust. And that'll be within the next 3-4 years, I believe. You're going to start seeing major moves by small companies who are growing very, very quickly. Number two, your risk absolutely increases if you don't have the AI project attached to a business objective that you can trace into the bottom line of the business where it's making its contributions. You've got to be able to make sure everything has a business case, a use case, and it is actually attaching an ROI to it. That way, you're starting to reduce your risk. If you implement it properly, and we have what we call an AI boot camp, it lasts approximately 12, 16 weeks. And we come in and we do a complete overview, and we come in and we start developing use cases for you. And it's in a low risk environment. Nothing gets done, and big monies are not spent in order to make this happen. I worked with mid-sized companies, $20 million to $500 million my entire life. There's risk there. They got to reduce the risk. Doing AI properly reduces the risk, the competitive risk that you have in your business. You reduce that competitive risk. You start making new strides. You're scaling your business. And you got to bring your people along at the right time, because as you scale your business, you need somebody to manage that new growth. It's not going to be just AI managing all your growth just like that in the next couple of years. So I think if you're doing it wrong, you're increasing your risk. If you do it correctly, you're actually making your business more intelligent. And let's face it, I can have intelligence, doesn't get me anything. But if I have intelligence and I apply it in a strategic manner based on a business objective with an ROI attached to it that I'm monitoring every single month, I'm reducing my risk. I'm controlling my risk. And I think that's a very prudent observation that you had, and one that everybody's got to really consider in, do I go now? Do I wait? How do I do this implementation of AI? It's going to cost a lot of money. It could be a surprise. All of those questions, all of those uncertainties can be answered. The technology's out there to do it. And honestly, it's not as expensive as what some people think. The price is coming down, and you can control token use, consumption use. You can bring in IBM's Watson X AI solution, which we prefer at an enterprise level, very inexpensively. And if used and managed properly, you've really lowered your risk and increased your productivity and the ability to hit that bottom line.
So how does your business work with regards to that? So just from a personal experience, like this is probably nothing like it, but like I just look at marketing. There's just so many different directions you can go, and you can spend a lot of money on just a new marketing idea, or a company that comes to you and says, hey, we can do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to grow your business by this much. And just to sit down and speak with those folks sometimes is expensive. What does that mean for some of the business owners that maybe are listening right now, where are even considering reaching out to you? Is it something that what does that look like for them, as far as if they just want to dip their toe in and just understand a little bit more, and even as it pertains to a cost perspective as well?
Number one, they can contact me, and I'm happy to talk to anybody for any use case or any questions that they have that I can help them, and there's no charge for that. But more importantly, work your way into it. Get an understanding of what AI is. Get into a workshop. We offer workshops. We can help you do that. But we combine a workshop with AI and preparing your business. And that's all explained in the book, the 5 closes, we call them, or the 5 principles and tasks you actually have to implement in the business to get there. But go to the workshops, and we have the AI boot camp. It's a small price to get into a business and be able to examine and help them identify where they need help. I think the overriding biggest benefit a company can do is look at how they manage projects. And in my opinion, everything is a project. I have a sales quota. I have to hit a monthly and a quarterly target in sales. That's a project. I manage resources. I manage my time. I manage communication. I understand how to put fixes in place. That's a project. If I'm a manufacturer, I got a project. If I'm a construction company, I have a project. If I'm developing software, I have a project. So projects are the heart of the quality of how you run your business. And that could be Six Sigma, building it into a project. I got a start date, I got an end date, I got milestones I have to hit. So I have a vector, if you will, that I have to hit and know where my catalysts are to keep this going. That's the best place to start looking at, how do I implement AI? Well, how am I running my business? Where's it falling down? Define it as a project, put a small team together, put a use case together, understand what your return on the investment is, how you expect that to hit the bottom line. And then all of a sudden you got a success, and it's like, okay, I can now replicate this project management concept throughout the business. Very low cost, low risk way of getting it implemented, but you're starting to do it in the proper manner.
All right, perfect. I'd like to shift gears here and just look at the value of how this affects the values of companies. I imagine, and we're already seeing investors factoring AI capabilities into companies at a pretty high level. I know we are at the public level. It may be a little bit different from the private level, just because we don't have as much data available to us. But what are you seeing when it comes to as we're at the beginning of the AI boom here? How has it been affecting the value of private companies, and what are some of the factors that you've been seeing?
Okay, number one, if you want an SBA loan, I'm told you're going to have to show them your AI strategy, but also demonstrate results, not just talk, but here's what we're doing and here's how it's going to improve the business. So if I want an SBA loan from the government, that's going to be the trend setter. You go to commercial lenders, they're going to want to see, what are you doing in AI? Because we can see There's companies that are going to get wiped out, just like in the whole, look at newspapers when it came to the web. The web just destroyed the newspaper industry, and it did it pretty quickly. How is it affecting valuations? That's so you can run your business very, very well. You got a really well-run business. You got good people. Your margins and everything look really good. But all of a sudden, somebody comes in with AI, and they're clobbering you on pricing. You can't figure out how to do it. Well, they've got an intelligent business. I call that an intelligent business because it's compounding on what it's learning, and it's using technology and humans to do that. So what does that mean? If I can come in there and I can show you how to improve the productivity of your business through agents, and then what it costs to build an agent, I put that back into the business. I got a compounding effect. I am now getting that flywheel of intelligence running. And anybody that's coming in to take a look at your business, number one, they're going to take a look and say, EBITDA, where is it? And tell me, are you systems dependent or people dependent? That's going to increase. If you're systems dependent, it's going to increase the valuation of your business. Number two, if I'm coming in and I got a systems driven approach, not people, tribal knowledge running the business. Number two, that increases the valuation of my business. Number three, I put an intelligent layer on the business. That's the AI. Now, all of a sudden, I'm getting rid of tribal knowledge. I'm getting rid of human heroics, meaning, I'm the guy that gets stuff done by month end. So tell me what your problem is and I'll just make it happen. Well, that's great, but I can't scale that. And what am I going to do if you lose the business? Well, I just lost valuation right there. So AI is going to increase the valuation of the business. Number four, once you get those three things done, your data's in place, you got your workflows all documented, your systems documented, and now you got AI involved. I rebrand the business. We're becoming an intelligent business now. I'm getting data and information that I never had before to make decisions. I'm seeing where patterns are being disrupted and where there's opportunities for me. And this is a medium-sized business I'm talking about, not a Fortune 500 company anymore. Everything that they did, that's now coming down to that mid-company level. So I have to rebrand because now what I'm selling is intelligence, not just my product or a widget or something like that. And now I can compound this extremely fast. At today's rates, my business that I started with my brother that was acquired, we would have been doing $100 million in business. And it took us 18 years to do it. That could be done probably in 8 years now, simply because of how I can improve the productivity. And that all increases your multiple. And then the last part is I got to build people who are going to be strong enough to do it, because what's going to happen as we become more intelligent, AI, I'm not going to have all these fires that are erupting anymore because of tribal knowledge or because somebody forgot to place an order or the supply chain is breaking down and we didn't know it and it's a surprise to us, and that hurts our vendors, our customers, etc. So all these things put together, those 5 things that I just reviewed and that are in the book, The Intelligent Business Equation, they increase your multiple. Can it be significant? Let's just say I have a EBITDA of $1 million. And I've really got business systems that are not put in place. I'm people dependent, et cetera, and I'm not using AI. I might get a multiple of 3. So that means I got a $3 million valuation. But all of a sudden, I get control of my data. I get control of my workflow. I get AI implemented correctly, which means my productivity will increase dramatically. And I'll see ROI on the bottom line. I might get a multiple of 5. That's $5 million. I just made $2 million from that investment. It didn't cost me $2 million to make that investment. I'll take those returns any day, and they're low risk returns. So that's how AI is really impacting the valuations of medium-sized businesses. And again, I'm speaking $10, $20 million up to 500, but the sweet spot would be $20 to $100 million in revenue.
Interesting. You mentioned and spoke a little bit about human capital there for a second. And being a Philadelphia sports fan, I saw this T-shirt that really resonated with me. I thought it was great. Allen Iverson, former player of the 76ers, a lot of people called him AI. So the T-shirt said, AI is coming for your job. And it was a picture of Allen Iverson.
That's really
which I thought was brilliant.
I'm a Philly sports fan myself, so that's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Are you really?
I love that.
Yeah. So we'll get along just fine. But anyway, so I do think that there is a very a strong fear out there as to, it reminds me of a lot of like when robots started to become prevalent, like, oh, the robots are going to take over and like we're not going to have there's not going to be jobs left. I've heard both sides of this conversation, like, where I've heard some very prominent CEOs say how they think it's actually going to be increase the need for hiring, but I think some things need to get worked out. As a father of four boys who are 9 and under, I sometimes wonder, like, what is the world going to look like? Like, how do I direct the? And I know they're only 9, but like, it's just like it's happening so fast that just a few years ago, people would say, go out and become a coder, and you're going to be set for life. And like, how quickly did that change? Um, but anyway, I'm just curious on your view as to maybe some of the things you've seen already, or just in general of those who, because you put somebody in charge of a project, and it feels like you're actually being charged to kind of do a job that's going to put you out of work potentially, and it feels that way sometimes. But what are your thoughts there?
I think you're very accurate, John, in the way you're reading what people are thinking about the fear. It's going to replace me and everything. But just take a look at this. I put AI in. It's intelligent. It helps me get better and make me more confident. And in turn, I help that agent become more intelligent. What's one of the byproducts that's going to happen from that? Number one, fires that take everybody's time. They erupt. I come in, I have 5 things I want to get done today, but these fires erupted and I didn't get any of those 5 things done. I had to take care of those fires. Those fires begin to disappear. Think about that. What's that give that person? More time to think about their job and do it better, because we're not worried about human heroics, those side deals and tribal knowledge that get done, where, accounting has this set of numbers, but manufacturing and operation has this set of numbers that are different. And then sales has its own numbers and definitions and those systems driven. That's scary and risky business. That scares the hell out of me anymore. So the fires stop. People have time to think. And what do they do with thinking? They begin critically thinking, and then they need emotional intelligence or emotional maturity. They're the 2 things that they focus on. So your children that are 9, 10 years old, I would tell them, you have unbelievable opportunities, staggering opportunities in front of you. Number one, just make sure you understand AI and make sure you understand how a business works. What are the systems involved? How do they interact? How do I get people and agents and technology all working together so we can solve people's problems? That's what capitalism is really good at. I can solve your problem and you'll pay me for it. So number one, the fires disappear. They begin critically thinking, being emotionally intelligent and or self-aware. So they know how to better deal with people. And what are we doing? We're creating an environment of innovation for a business. That's what innovation is. If there's no crisis, there's no innovation. With crisis, without critical thinking, I got a catastrophe. Crisis with critical thinking, but no people intelligence, I make decisions devoid of people's interests. That means I grow, you don't, sorry, you pay the price. That's not going to work. So we have to make decisions now. And I believe, just like in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, when the quality movement, Duran, Deming, Six Sigma, and all those things started coming into vogue, all of a sudden, businesses became better. They made their people better. Then all of a sudden, what comes in 2021, I guess it was? COVID. We all learned a new technology overnight. One word. What's that word? Zoom. We all started working from home. We adapted real fast. I don't think anybody got hurt from that. I don't think anybody got hurt from Zoom. So now all of a sudden we got to be able to say we have to upgrade our people skills, just like we did in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s with quality initiatives and things like that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to teach people how to process change. That's why some of that old workflow documentation, Six Sigma, that's why it's not as popular in some businesses right now, because the change is too fast and they can't adapt to it. We've got to learn how to adapt to it, but we also have to learn and teach people how to process this rate of change. And it happens, and change appears at work, it changes in their personal life, and it changes in their health. They're the 3 buckets we got to watch. If we can start managing change, make it work in our favor, we do that by getting rid of the fires so we can actually think about what we want to accomplish today. We learn to critically think, and we become more emotionally intelligent. Your 9-year-old daughter and son have unbelievable opportunities. I think unbelievable. die for those opportunities knowing what I know now.
I think you're absolutely right. I feel the same way. It just feels like there's less room for a mistake to go in the wrong direction when it comes to education and time that you're going to spend. I think there's going to be opportunities, but it's becoming more and more evident to me that really focusing in on where those opportunities are and could potentially be is becoming a little bit more scary.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen, and we're going to see this in college educations and things. We're going to go back to liberal arts education. It won't be an extreme focus in financial engineering. If you're a PE company, you've already done operating improvements in financial engineering to the till. There's not an awful lot more of blood in that rock that you can get out of it. You got to go in with AI and the intelligence, but you got to go in now because people put out fires. They have free time. They can critically think. They can get the better emotional maturity and intelligence, so they make good decisions so everybody wins, not just one or two. But at the same time, what we're doing is we're enabling them to solve problems. That's liberal arts education. That's where you go in and say, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to have problems and obstacles, but I got to know I have to learn how to overcome those obstacles, which means identify them. That technique's already out there. It's called the 5 whys. Many other, fishbone exercises and things like that. That's already there. But now I can identify and I can get to the root cause of a problem or an obstacle. And that means whether it's in the assembly line or the business process that's going on, or the people process, what their belief systems are, the emotions that they feel, what's the meaning they're attaching to everything. This is going to be a renaissance. This is going to be a second renaissance, if you will, in human development, developing ourselves so that we can work with this technology and we can bring everybody along. And we can bring everybody along because I have not worked with any individual who did not have the capability to critically think or be emotionally intelligent concerning themselves if they're instructed and guided properly. That's what we're going to need to run the technology that gets us into the business scaling area and use cases and objectives of the business that are going to put money on the bottom line so that we all prosper. This is going to be great, I think.
This has been a fascinating conversation, and I feel like we should have you back in 3 years and compare notes to today and see where it all went, because it's AI is clearly changing far more than day-to-day operations. It's influencing how businesses are evaluated, bought, and sold. And thanks for helping us today to separate the hype from the real opportunities. This is great. For listeners who want to learn a little bit more about Guidewise.ai or learn more about your book or just you in general, where's a good place to reach out to you and find you?
Well, you can come to our website, www.guidewise, 2 words and made into one, .ai. So it's www.guidewise.ai. They can email me at TED at guidewise.ai, or they can go to LinkedIn, and I'm on there. Ted Wolf 2 is what my link URL would be for LinkedIn. And the book, it's called The Intelligent Business Equation, can be found on Amazon Kindle right now, and it came out in May. Excellent. So very happy to explore that. And I want to thank you, John, for your time and having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. And great. We'll include all that information in the resources section of the show notes, of course. Thanks again, Ted. And thank you to everyone who tuned into today's episode. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.
Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.